Hello and welcome to Dr. Shiny Tarot. This is a daily pick a card reading for December 11th, Friday. The purpose of this reading is to give you a brief piece of advice or to help guide your overall focus for the day. But if you are looking for a longer, more detailed reading, please check out my channel. I do many other readings, including monthly readings, full moon readings, love readings, and many more. Also, if you would like to request a specific type of reading, please do so in the comments. If you are new to pick a card readings, the way this works is that you'll choose one of the three piles here, and then you'll scroll down to the description and click on the timestamp for whichever choice you made, and it'll skip ahead to your reading. Now, if you feel compelled to choose more than one card, that is totally fine. Please follow your intuition here. There is going to be good advice in each reading, even if one pile is more specific to your situation. I have also added 3 crystals to aid in your selection, and today they are SunStone, Petrified Wood, and Chalcopyrite. So I know what you may be thinking. Petrified wood, that's not a crystal, but that's where you're mistaken. Petrified wood actually is a crystal made of silicon dioxide, and that makes it essentially quartz. So it looks like wood because the wood seeds the formation of the crystal, but there's no wood left. It's all just a quartz crystal in the shape of wood. And that's really amazing to me. But anyway, so I'm going to give you about 30 seconds of silence so you can meditate on your choice if you want to. And when you have your choices in mind, go ahead and find the timestamp in the description below. So we're going to go ahead and start that 30 seconds right now. Okay, so if you have not already done so, please go ahead and make your selection and then scroll down to the description below and click on the timestamp for your particular card. So we're going to get started with the SunStone. If you chose pile number 1 with this SunStone, this is your reading. So you have the Queen of Cups and the Three of Cups and the Strength card. Okay, so this Queen of Cups in the reverse could mean that like your emotions are a little bit getting the best of you. I love how the artwork is done in this card because in the upright position, she's sort of halfway above the water. But in the reverse here, it kind of looks like the water is over her. So it's a pretty interesting dual meaning there. So in the case of the reverse, it's more of being a little overwhelmed by your emotions, or sometimes this can be like exhaustion. So there is definitely the potential for like emotional mastery. Normally you're pretty good at this. Normally you have things kind of under control, but it's just kind of like the water's risen a little bit too high, right? There is a need for you to gain some rest and withdraw and to recharge your batteries a little bit because you've been through some situations that have drained you a little bit. They've drained you emotionally. And so that's pretty straightforward. The Queen of Cups is a good friend. She's typically a good listener and great to get along with. because she's empathetic and she feels your situation very much so as a friend, and is able to walk you through these things well. So what's crossing or influencing you is this Three of Cups. So to me, this kind of reinforces this idea that typically there is a lot of good feels, friendship, fellowship with others as well. But this may be a situation where, those relationships, while they are good and while they are typically harmonious or even fruitful relationships, it may be a time in where you're just feeling a little bit drained. So you need to kind of withdraw from that a little bit. It's weighing down on you, all of these like social obligations, and you're kind of feeling like you just want to spend some time watching Netflix or taking a bath, staying home. And that sounds like a pretty good idea for you right now. Approaching the weekend, it's easy to feel like, no, I've got to hit the ground running, work hard, play hard. But it's been an exhausting few months. It's been an exhausting year, really. So if you feel the need to just sort of relax and recharge, then go ahead. And, you may be a type of person that the physical exhaustion doesn't get to you quite so much. So it could be that you need a little bit of this fellowship to have a friend to release some of your emotional trauma to. So it can work either way. But, the Queen of Cups definitely tells you to trust your intuition. So whichever of these that you need to kind of recover, to heal a little bit, ask yourself going into the weekend, what does healing look like for me? Is it that I need somebody to talk to kind of release some of my emotional stress? That was a cat. Or do I need to take some time to myself and just sort of rest and relax? But either way, you need to focus a little bit more on recharging yourself, looking out for yourself at this time, instead of just feeling obligated to be around others. So advice is the Strength in the reverse. Strength. The Strength card is not so much talking about physical strength or anything. This is that will, that inner will, that strength of character. The original artwork typically has a woman who is very delicate looking, and she's got her hands around the mouth of a ferocious looking lion. And she's able to do that because she has this very fierce and powerful, steady will. And the lion detects that and is not threatened, but also doesn't see her as like prey. The lion comes to see fellowship in her because she has that sort of spirit of the lion. So that's where you normally are. And the advice here with this being in the reverse is just that like something's blocking this, and honestly that very much seems to be some sort of exhaustion, whether it be mental, physical, or emotional. There is this need to reconnect with your inner strength and to sort of take time for yourself. And that's a very, very contiguous message here. All three of these cards are kind of saying the same thing. So not a very broad message, but very important message for you. So definitely heed that and figure out whatever you need to sort of pamper yourself this weekend. Okay, so that about does it for card number 1 for the SunStone. Now, we're going to go ahead and move on to card number 2. If you chose the Petrified Wood, this is for you. Okay, so you have the Page of Pentacles reversed, the Two of Cups, and the Six of Cups reversed. Okay, so last reading I gave was very, very contiguous, and all the cards kind of pointed in the same direction. This one's a little bit more disjointed. There's something else kind of going on in each of these situations. So the Page of Pentacles in the reverse means that like there's a project that you've had in mind, or something that you've wanted to accomplish, or something within the physical realm. So, it could just be some exercise you wanted to do, or, it really could be anything in the physical realm. But a lot of times it's got a more of a financial tinge to it. So it's like some new business you want to get off the ground, or some project that you are wanting to get started, like, maybe growing a garden sometimes, things like that. But in the reverse, it's like you've been having a little trouble getting that going. There's been possibly some distractions, or there's some difficulties that you didn't expect. Things haven't been going quite so easy. And so it's not really getting off the ground kind of like you expected it to, or like you want it to. You're not seeing the kind of progress you're looking for. So what's crossing or influencing you is this Two of Cups. So that means that essentially there is a focus in your mind on a harmonious type of relationship. I would argue that the Two of Cups is more of an indicator of like looking for a romantic relationship, or such, than the Lover's card. The Lover's card is often looked at as a romantic card, but I would suggest that the Two of Cups is more so. Because this Two of Cups, it really just means like a harmonious and give and take relationship that's equal and intense and emotionally fulfilling. And the Lover's card really is more about choice and that kind of thing. So this one to me is one of the more romantic cards in the deck. So it could be that one of the reasons that your projects and all that are kind of maybe taking a back burner, not getting off the ground so much, is because you're a little bit distracted by this endeavor. But then again, because the Page of Pentacles does have that realm where it's just talking about the physical, it could be that you're feeling a little frustrated about not giving some relationship off the ground in the physical realm, right? So there's one possible way that you can tie those things in together here. But it's not necessarily that. It's just that's one interpretation here. This is a general reading, so there's going to be a different way that this applies to many different people depending on who's watching, right? So, but if they are connected, then the way that they would be connected is that, you have this harmonious relationship, things are going well, and this is heavily on your mind, heavily influencing you. But it's maybe not going the physical way that you want it to so much. There's not been some first steps or something like that you've expected or that you're wanting, and it's just not really, it's not happened the way you want. So the Six of Cups here in your advice card is inviting you to sort of reconnect with your inner child. There could be, this kind of tends to have like a workaholic energy about it in the reverse. Now, in the upright, it's like nostalgia, looking back on childhood with happy memories and that kind of thing. But in the reverse, it's like that aspect of it is a little bit blocked, and it's kind of being too focused on the future or the present, so that you're kind of like slaving away at some boring job or something like that you're not really into. You've forgotten the whole reason why you're doing it, and there's not as much of that like bright childlike energy that drives you forward. You're just kind of stuck in this monotony. Right? So that's kind of how I feel when I see this Six of Cups in the reverse. Now, in regards to like, well, is that advice? Well, the way that it is giving you advice is to say to remember to connect with that inner child, and to remember what it is, what drove you to feel optimistic and bright and hopeful about the future when you were a child. Most of us don't feel cynical or monotonous when we're children, right? We accept that as we get older because people demand us to be that way for a job or school or whatever it is. But inviting a little bit more of that childlike feminine energy, or not feminine, I don't know why feminine came up, childlike, see, now I'm thrown off by that. So that childlike and optimistic, hopeful energy. is your friend. Now, tying that into this situation here, if I'm going to go back to the possible interpretation that we had, don't think of whatever this project is as like something you have to do or something that is a chore or like work, because doing it that way has a way of making it feel a drag. And if it's talking about a romantic relationship, you definitely don't want that. You definitely don't want it to feel like a chore. You don't want to feel awkward and all that kind of thing. You want this to kind of just spring forth naturally. You want that childlike, I want to do this, and so I'm going to do it. And that's kind of what breaks up a little bit of that ice there, and makes things a little more intuitive and relaxed, free flowing, or harmonious even. So that's really the basis for making this whole thing a success, whatever this Page of Pentacles project is. Say that 3 times fast. Page of Pentacles project. So, yeah, you're going to want to bring some of that nice, hopeful, optimistic energy into whatever that is, because, treating it as a chore is going to make it really boring and really not fun. So treat it like something that you're doing for fun. Treat it like every aspect of it is something that is meant to be enjoyable and not just something that you have to do to get from point A to point B. Okay, so that about does it for card number 2. All right. Okay, so card number 3 with the Chalcopyrite. What you're going to have is the moon in the reverse. I feel that. The Ace of Cups crossing, and the Emperor in the reverse for your advice. Okay, so yeah, I get this. So the moon in the reverse, this one has like a chaotic energy to it sometimes. This is like a little bit rough, and what it involves is it's like your subconscious is kind of bubbling up like crazy right now, and the way that manifests itself in the reality around you is a lot of things are a little bit, I don't want to say like traumatic, because traumatic is probably too strong of a word here, but intense. Things are intense. Situations, feelings, all these things are coming at you pretty wide open, and you're feeling probably a little raw right now. And the reason for that is because these are like huge, unresolved things that live normally deep within your subconscious, and they're kind of bubbling up. There's the veil between what's hidden and unhidden is a little bit thinner than normal. So a lot of these things are bubbling up in these situations because, the ego consciously tries to avoid these situations. So once they do kind of bubble up, or they're out of control a little bit, they can kind of seem as though they're like coming from nowhere, but they're not coming from nowhere. These are just kind of recycled things that you've been suppressing for some time that are like coming back up so that you can deal with it. So there sometimes is a feeling of like, oh God, like this is just grating on me. And if you really dive into that feeling, it wouldn't be grating on you if you didn't feel like this was more of the same old thing, right? If you didn't feel like this is part of a pattern that has occurred in your life, something that is not going away, it just keeps coming back. You can feel like it's bad luck. You can feel like, why me? Why is this type of thing happening? But what you'll find is that if you kind of avoid straying away from it, if you avoid trying to push that all back under the surface, and you actually kind of you deal with it a little bit more, you are more likely to like learn something and to kind of resolve that dissonance in a more permanent way, and then all of a sudden everything in life becomes a little bit more tranquil and harmonious. So there can be like this can sometimes mean that like you've been going through a little bit of anxiety, and you're kind of on the tail end of it. You're kind of getting it under control, but it's like not really there yet. But you're kind of working through it. But a lot of times the way people control anxiety or work through it is by sort of suppressing the issues and driving them deeper. And that can make it, just like I said, this repetitive cycle where they keep coming back up. And every time they come back up, it gets a little bit harder to deal with, right? So crossing you is this Ace of Cups, and, again, or influencing you, but crossing, influencing, positive, negative ways of saying the same thing. The Ace of Cups is, new feelings of emotion, things that are a little bit possibly foreign to you. So you're being asked to sort of feel your way through the situation, but what it probably involves is like a lot of feelings that are kind of uncomfortable, or you just and when I experience anxiety, I always feel it as just like this really general uncomfortable feeling about everything. It's like I just don't feel right. I don't feel comfortable. I feel ill, or like like I want to unzip my skin and jump out. Like there's like it's bad. It's gone bad, and I don't want any part of it. So that's kind of how anxiety feels for me. And so it may be that, feeling those kind of things is incredibly unpleasant, especially if it's new to you or you don't know what it is. You don't know why you feel the way that you feel. So these like odd, icky feelings that bubble up to the surface, these new feelings, can be very tough to deal with. But if you sort of get this idea out of your head that is a bad process, that you shouldn't be feeling this sort of different way, or things are going wrong, right? If you kind of allow yourself to feel those feelings of anxiety, allow yourself to feel those negative things, and to face them head on rather than to withdraw from them, a lot of times you can start asking yourself questions like, why am I feeling this way? Like, really, let's level with myself. What is it here that is making me feel this way? Where's the feeling coming from? Can I point to it in my body? Is there a specific location? Is there a specific tension or something in one of my muscles that I'm kind of like holding for no reason, and it's kind of making my body feel this way? And I've noticed I've done that before, where, thinking I have all this general anxiety, but really I'm just kind of tensing this muscle in my forehead or something. So relaxation and just trying to approach those feelings head on and ask yourself what's driving that can give you a little bit of insight, which can help you figure out a path to moving forward in a way that does something about that anxiety instead of just hiding from it. Hiding from it just is usually not very successful. It is for a time, right? For a little while you can suppress it, but that kind of just creates this snowballing problem that eventually catches up with you. So it's better to, I think, try to deal with those if possible. And this is a great opportunity for you to deal with any of these emotions or things that are coming up. Now, advice for this situation is the Emperor in the reverse. So this is, in general, a kind of like an unhealthy relationship with power or with control and authority. So this kind of, going back to this, can mean that you want to feel a particular kind of way, and you're not very open to not feeling that way. So if you're wanting to feel happy all the time, you're not being very open to feeling the negative sides of things. And I guess a good quote to illustrate the problem with that is that you cannot increase your capacity for pleasure without also increasing your capacity for pain, right? And one of the reasons for that is because, everything that you perceive is sort of relative. So you can't have something that's really, really great unless you also know what really, really bad is. You wouldn't know, right? It's like if everybody is smart, then no one is smart. Everybody's just the same. There's no differential. It's like the contrast in things is what really kind of gives them their meaning. So if you're fixated on kind of one aspect of existence, all white and no black, all good, no evil, all ups and no downs, you're creating a problem for yourself, because consciousness at its core is the differential between all these different aspects. And so if you're striving to eliminate one whole half of the equation, essentially you're striving to be unconscious, right? And a lot of people don't realize that, and they kind of wonder why things don't go better or things don't go the way they want. Well, a lot of times it's because you don't realize you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot with what you're chasing after. Better than trying to eliminate one side in favor of the other, it's better to find out how can you make these two sides live in harmony in some way, or have some sort of like an arrangement between them, right? Like the sun and the moon are not out all the time, but even they occasionally step on each other's toes. I see the moon out during the day all the time. So there's got to be some sort of, ebbs and flows, gives and takes, and you have to find ways to allow yourself to experience some of those more negative energies. This one was an incredibly mystical reading. I'm kind of impressed by that one, as far as like how deep that got. But anyway, I think that about does it. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I love to answer questions. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the next daily reading, and be on the lookout for some other readings. Please let me know if you would like any other specific readings. If you would request those, I'd be happy to look into it and try something new. Until next time, this is Dr. Shiny.